Stop share right now and I'll share them.
A very good evening, everyone. I'm Sakshi Rohra, back to you on day 18 of PosiFest 2024 with Seema Roy today, who's going to present us on the topic Unleashing Your Creativity and Innovation. So before she proceeds ahead, I would like to do a small introduction about her. Seema Mehta Roy is a renowned NLP Zentangle coach, blending the power of neuro-linguistic programming with the meditative art of Zentangle. Her unique approach fosters creativity, mindfulness, and personal growth. Seema's expertise lies in helping individuals tap into their unconscious mind to unlock their full creative potential, enabling innovation and self-discovery. A very warm welcome to you, Seema. We're happy to have you on this platform.
Thank you. Thank you, Sakshi. I hope everyone can hear me. And if you all are comfortable switching your cameras on, that would be wonderful. But I do understand how things are. You want to do a lot of things these days. But it would be wonderful to, have a face to the name. So I'll just give you some time. Wherever you are, however you are, it's perfectly fine. Switch to right. So I know a couple of them here.
I don't have written also this thing.
Yes, Preeti. I couldn't see your face. You put the camera on, but I couldn't see your face. Okay. So whenever you are comfortable, please feel free. Yes, thank you, Ramesh. Anu, Sunita, Komal, Vaijanti, Pinali, Sabina. Okay. Welcome. Today, the topic being creativity and innovation. So, before we actually get into it, firstly, if you believe that both creativity and innovation as a skill is important, it's an important skill to have, just type Zen in the type box. In the chat box, just type Zen if you believe that it's important. Yes? Okay. So, yes, Zen, Zen, Zen. Okay. So, we all agree that it is a skill to have. Now, why is it important? How does it help us? If anybody can share, like, how does it help us? If we are creative and innovative, where do you apply those skills in your life?
It gives us flexibility.
Gives us flexibility. Okay. What else? What else does it give us?
So when we are innovative and creative, we try to solve problems or situations. We try to come out in various forms. We don't get stuck in a particular pattern.
Right. We don't get stuck. It gives us flexibility. We are able to solve the problems, the issues, the challenges that we face in our day-to-day life, right? Whether it's to do with parenting, whether it's to do with work, whether it's to do with general, day-to-day activities.
We have a comment in the comment chat box.
Yeah. So thoughts are characteristic, different, out of the box, not monotonous, perspective is different. Yes, absolutely. Yet we find ourselves stuck many times. And in those moments, you don't know what to do, right? You just feel that you're completely exhausted of creativity and you just cannot think, right? And there are moments that, like, I wish, some idea comes up, and you just find yourself that you're not able to think beyond those same thoughts that you've been thinking, right? Okay, so I'm just going to quickly share a couple of slides. Pardon me.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to play a small, puzzle game, whatever you call it. On the screen, just let me know, what do you see on the screen?
9 dots.
9 dots, right? So the puzzle is that you need to connect all the 9 dots using 4 straight lines, but without lifting the pen. Okay. Some of them know. So 4 lines. And those who know this puzzle, try doing it with 3 lines. Okay. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Anu, this is not for you. Okay, any questions?
Can you repeat once again for those who just logged in?
Okay. You see 9 dots. What I want you to do is join all the 9 dots, basically connect all the 9 dots using 4 straight lines without lifting your pen. Okay, your time starts now. Done, Sakshi?
Not able to do it.
Okay. Okay, time up. Anyone? Ramesh, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Can I suggest?
Yes,
Mr.
sure.
You start the
Then
line from the
you want to suggest Vaijanti, you need to put your camera on. Ashok. Okay. I'm going to stop share because I can't see.
I'll put him in the pin. I'll pin him 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well done. Okay.
Can you show it again, Ashok? Show it again.
Yeah, I'll show it to you on the screen. Yeah. Okay. So this is what Ashok has done. Okay. This is the answer to the puzzle. We start from here. Go on. Can you see my cursor? No, right? Right. Okay. So you start from here, go all the way, go outside slightly, then come in and up. Yeah. Can everyone mute yourself, please?
Yes, muted them, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So the point is not the puzzle, but the point is that what is creativity? Creativity is basically, thinking from whatever information we have, which everybody can see, but seeing it differently. Right? Just a moment. I don't know why my slide is not changing. Yeah. So basically, those 9 dots is what everybody sees, but everybody, when looks at the 9 dots, will think differently. They might have tried different ways of solving this problem, and everybody has the same information, but able to connect those dots in a way that gives you the solution is being creative. It's as simple as that, right? So how do we go about, how do you enhance your current skills and get creative? How do you do that? And there is a process to creativity. So this is the creativity is seeing what everyone else has seen and thinking what no one else has thought. Right? Okay, now quickly, I want you to think about you as a person self, and can you come up with any one of these? One word that would describe yourself best, one metaphor, one shape, one color, sound, anything. So pick any 1 or 2 things that come to your mind and type in the chat box. So the question is, who am I? And one word to describe who am I, or one metaphor to describe who am I. For example, if I were to say, who am I? First thing that comes to my mind is I am a river as a metaphor, because I love to go with the flow and someone who is very spontaneous. So I connect with river. The shape that I comes to my mind is more like, swirls. Swirls. So can you think of a one word that can describe you as who am I? Could be a metaphor, it could be a shape that you connect with, it could be a color, could be a sound. Soul, soulful, circle, white, singing bowls. Wonderful, right? So Sakshi says soulful, circle, white, singing bowls. Just close your eyes. It's not a thinking thing. It's something that will come to you immediately, like just butterfly. Lovely. Thank you, Vajanti, for sharing. Yeah, when I say metaphor, it could be a bird, animal, anything from nature. Just close your eyes and just get in touch with yourself. And the first word that comes to your mind. Ashok? Unmute. You can unmute and shout it out. Ashok, we can't hear you if you're saying something. Others? It's not something that you try hard, but okay, let's go. And if during the workshop, if something comes up, please feel free to share or maybe note it down,
Okay, so we've got one more reply, ma'am.
Yeah. So Anu says one word is resilient. Metaphor is bamboo, tall but bending. That's she connects with that aspect. Color is green and the sound of breeze. Right? Beautiful. Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing, those who have shared. Okay, so when you think about this, how does it work? Like when Anu said that resilient, and if you ask someone, like if any of you know Sakshi or Anu, if she said soulful, do you feel the same way? Like if you know someone, it's like, okay, yeah, absolutely, that's the word. Okay, these connections, where do these connections are made? It's a part of a creative process, not a thought about thing. It just comes up, right? I'm sorry, I'm struggling with the slides a little bit. Okay, so let's look at what actually happens in the creative process. Okay, the first stage is preparing, when we are taking in all the information, a time when basic informations or skills, like, so if you have a problem, you think of, okay, what all do I need, what skills do I need, what information do I need, what do I have, we start collecting all that. Okay, then the second stage is the incubation stage, where you kind of sit down and think about what is working. Consciously, you're trying to put things together. Okay. So you have a few things, you start putting it together and you consciously start working on it. And as you're working on it, sometimes, it's also the past connections that you have made comes in play. So you start putting all those things. Then you go through a phase where it's called inspiration, where, an eureka experience happens. Suddenly, when you're not even thinking about that problem consciously, something clicks. It's like, oh my God, I can do that. Right? And then you start putting it into action. That's a basic creative process. I want you to think about a time when you misplaced your car keys, your house keys or something, and you know that you've kept it safely, but you don't know where it is, right? And you're looking for it consciously all over the place, but you can't find it. So consciously you're trying to retrace your steps, you're doing all that, but you're just not able to. At one point you just come and you become blank. Okay. So that's your preparation period, and you're consciously working. You go into that incubation when you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to give myself a rest, and you start doing something else, some mundane chore, maybe clearing up your cupboard, or maybe for me, a lot of time when I'm doing my vessels or some chopping work in the kitchen, and suddenly a thought will come and it'll be like, oh, you kept it over there. And I go and look for it and I find it over there. So it's like that moment where you have this insight. So somewhere that information was stored. It's just how you're not able to tap into it. Okay. So usually this is the creative process. Any questions? Any questions? So you get the 4 stages of the creative process, right? Okay. So moving to the next one. So creativity is just connecting things, right? So we have those thoughts. Sometimes there are those moments where, there is this link which is broken and we need to connect that link. Once that moment happens, eureka moment, you're like, okay, that's it. I got it. How come I didn't see this? Like the 9 dots, once you see it, you're just like, oh my God, this is so easy. It's such a simple thing. How come I missed it? Right? Okay. And now I'm tapping into our unconscious mind. Where does creativity actually come from? So if you go by the whole conscious, unconscious mind, what part of the conscious mind we use at the first stage, which is the preparation and the incubation stage, we are using the conscious mind, which is just the 10% of the mind, where we are analyzing the problem, we are, trying to make decisions, there's a logical thinking, trying to put A together, B, and, looking at your past experiences. It's based on your short-term memory. So you try to organize things. For that, we need the conscious mind. So the first 2 stages are mostly just the 10%. But it's just when you tap into the unconscious mind, which is the 90% of your mind, which controls 90% of your actions, behaviors, your beliefs are stored there. Creativity is the seat. Unconscious mind is the seat there, where your emotions, your habits, your identity, all the connections are made. And the unconscious mind doesn't work in straight line. Okay. It doesn't work linearly, sorry. It can make connections. It can take in about, I think, 9 million bits of information. So even if you're sitting right now and maybe only few bits of information is going in consciously, which is about 7 to 9 bits of information, but unconsciously, everything that you see on the screen, everything that's happening behind you, the sounds, the maybe if you're at home and someone is cooking, the aromas, everything is being registered at the unconscious level. So we need to be able to tap into that unconscious level. And Zentangle is a beautiful way to tap into your unconscious. So what happens is in Zentangle, what we'll be doing is we'll be engaging our 10% of our conscious mind in making some deliberate patterns, very mindful strokes, where unconscious mind gets the time to rest, relax, organize the information that it's absorbing. Otherwise, we are constantly only absorbing information, but there's no time. The unconscious mind doesn't get time to organize that information. And that's why we find ourselves getting stuck, because there is a lot of mess. So you go about the day-to-day life, and then, Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, if you're someone who corporate work, you have that fixed schedule, get up in morning, run. By the end of the week, if you see, there are certain chores that you have to do, right? To make sure that, your cupboard is in right place, your clothes are in right place, the laundry needs to be done, all that needs to be done. So you need to provide that time to your unconscious mind to rest, relax, and organize all the information that it's receiving constantly. Whether we like it or not, our unconscious mind is constantly receiving information.
We have a comment in the comment box, chat box.
Okay.
It's by Mr. Ramesh. He says that conscious mind works logically, whereas the other defies logic.
Absolutely. And that's why it allows you to think out of the box, right? So when you talk about thinking creativity, we constantly use this phrase of thinking out of the box. Okay. So I love this quote. It says, art is the elimination of the unnecessary. So when we engage in certain activities, we allow the unconscious to organize, eliminate the things that are not required. Because on a daily basis, it's just taking in information. The unconscious doesn't know what is important, what is not important. It picks up everything that's happening in the environment, right? So moving on to Zentangle. Why Zentangle? Not necessarily for one to tap into the unconscious mind, doesn't have to be Zentangle. This is just one tool. If you are someone who likes to meditate, that's one way you can do it. If you are someone who likes to dance, that's something that you can do. Maybe, like running is also something that I like doing. So that helps me, engage my conscious mind. There are a lot of times I have had excellent insights during my runs. I've got amazing insights, during Zentangling. So it could be any activity which is repetitive, which has got that rhythm, which can keep going on and on and on. So at one point, the conscious mind is fully engaged in that, and your unconscious mind, has that time to relax. You go into a zone where you don't realize where the time flew. So so I find myself unable to meditate because I just find that, okay, I can't sit still. So if this is something, then you find an activity that can help you get into a deliberate, mindful, repetitive pattern, kind of a chore. It could be an activity, like I said, dancing, running, singing, even. So any hobby in that sense, painting, any art. What attracted me to Zentangle is because it is something that I think we all did as teenagers in school. Do you remember sitting at the back bench or on your seat, and one of the days looking outside the window and behind the book, you just doodling. There's one shape that gets stuck, and you keep repeating that same shape wherever you find a pen and a paper. If you relate to that, type Zen into the chat box. Right? Awesome. Now I want you to think about when you were in love, first love. Go back in time and recall your first love. Okay, what shape that comes to your mind? And if you were sitting, heart, right? If you were sitting in the classroom, physically present, mentally absent, and just doodling at the back of your notebook, what shape would you be drawing? Heart, flowers maybe, right? Something which is representing, stars. Yeah. So it could be different for different.
A continuous S.
Continuous S, flowers, flames. Yeah, I love that game, flames. And I have 2 teenage daughters now, so they both keep doing that. So each one has a different connection to a different shape for the same emotion, love, right? Okay. And now think of a time when you had a breakup.
The arrow in the heart.
Yeah. or a broken heart. Or a broken heart, right?
Spider.
So, spider. Yeah. And now I want you to think about the color when you were in love. What color?
Red. Goes with
yeah. Right? Red, pink, bright colors, right? And when you are angry, yeah, yellow also. Anything bright, anything that brightens up, red, pink, yellow. Wonderful. And when you are upset, what color comes to your mind? Black, brown, yeah.
Grayish.
Grayish, pale colors, right? See, some of it is generalized, right? But each one will connect with a different shade of black, a different shade of brown, a different shade of, any of those pale colors, right? So our emotions don't have language. We give it language. Okay. The reason we do that is because it helps us understand our emotions. But there are moments that we do not understand our emotions. We do not know what's going on because there's nothing specific, but yet you find yourself, maybe there are too many things happening. So you're overwhelmed and you don't know how to process your emotions. Then art is a beautiful way of expressing your emotions. It allows your unconscious to process everything that has happened. Okay. And then it starts making connections. So our unconscious mind loves to make connections. And that's how Zentangle was founded by a couple, Rick and Maria. So it's a beautiful story. So Rick is a mindful meditation coach, and Maria is an artist. Okay. And so Maria would keep getting, different orders, and she's very good with calligraphy, basically. So, she got one of the orders, and she was, write. Basically, she had to write a name and create a card and create a whole beautiful art around it. And it just requires one of her calligraphy pens, and so just a simple black and white picture that she was working on. And it happened that she was working on it. It has been hours, and Rick walked into that room. He, being a meditative meditation coach, he could immediately connect with the whole experience that was happening in that room with Maria. And he felt that she was in such a meditative state that he didn't want to disturb her. Like, even if he called her out very softly, she had no response. She was like deep in that drawing experience, and he could feel that this is so meditative. So he then, once she finished, he asked her, what happened? How was your experience? And it was true. She said that, yeah, I don't know. Really? Was it that 3 hours I was doing this? I have no idea. It felt like, I was in this place where, everything around her had shut down. It was just her and her art. And she got so engrossed into it that she could just feel so relieved, and then felt relaxed. And after that 3 hours of working on it, she was energetic, she was very, very positive, and she felt very calm. Okay. And that's when they started talking, and they thought that a lot of time people say that they cannot draw. Okay. They would look at her art and would say that oh my god, this is so good, but I can't draw. And so they decided to make it so simple. And there are so many stories where people with various illnesses have been able to heal themselves with Zentangle. They've been able to get their memory back, a lot of focus, and there are hundreds of stories. But till you don't experience it yourself, you will not know what it is all about. Okay, so I'm going to show you some, things like that. This is one of my book, which I keep it in my bag, which I can, anytime. So I have 10 minutes break anytime. I can just remove this book or any sheet of paper. The best thing about Zentangle is that it doesn't have to be like a big art. It can be something small, which you can finish it in 5-10 minutes. Say you've had meetings after meetings, and you just need like that 5 minutes of break. All you need is a pen and a pencil, pen and a paper, and that's it. Though Zentangle has this 8 steps method, which I can take you through. Sometimes you just need to commit to that 5 minutes of, okay, let me just sit and, do these deliberate patterns, and let's see what comes out of it. Okay, so I'll take you through that, and let's see. Are you ready? Okay, so you all have a paper and a pen handy with you. So I'm looking at something small, like 3.5 inches to 3.5 inches, like a square sheet. Even if you have a large sheet, no problem, but just, maybe make a small square. So we're not looking at like filling the entire page. Okay. I just want you to look at these. These are the 5 basic strokes. If you can do these strokes, you can Zentangle. It's that simple. Okay. These are the 5 basic strokes that Zentangle uses, basically dots, circles. In Zentangle, they don't call it circles because when you think of circles, it needs to be like a perfect circle, and I struggle to draw a perfect circle. So they call it orbs. So, they can be, there is like a, imperfection, but at the same time, it looks like a circle. Then curves, lines, and S lines, basically wave lines. Okay. You might wonder what one can do with these strokes. Okay, I'm going to show you some. Look at this. This is done just by using dots. This is done by using curved lines or S lines. These are also like semicircles, small lines, just straight lines, S-shaped lines, right? You could do anything with just these 5 strokes. And if you could just quickly note down this 8 steps. So first step in Zentangle is the intention. So if there is a issue that you want to work on, don't go directly into it. Just keep an intention that, maybe allow that creativity and innovation to help you come up with a solution. Just keep that intention. So that's the first step before you start. Then, if you take this square sheet, you put 4 corner dots. Sometimes when you look at one of the reasons why they Rick and Maria came up with the step 2 is a lot of the times when you look at that paper and you wonder like, oh, where do I start from? What if it's not, it doesn't look good? What if, I can't draw? All those thoughts, to get rid of all those thoughts, first step is to just do 4 dots. Okay. And then you connect the 4 dots. That's the third step, which is kind of borders. It almost acts like boundaries in our life. We give certain boundaries. So the step 3 acts as boundaries. And they don't have to be very, very straight. They can be curvy, they can be rough. The second and third step is done using pencil. Because it's almost like having those balancing wheels in the bicycle when you first start learning. You need some sense of where to start and where to end, right? So the second step and the third step is done with pencil. And the fourth step is a string. String, just like any thread. If you just threw that on that paper and allow it to form a shape. So this is where you will allow your pencil to just create any shape within the 4 borders, right? That's the fourth step. Am I going too fast? Okay. The fifth step is tangle. So once you create a string, so for example, if I have done 4 dots and I created a border and I created a string that looks like Z. I'm just going to show you that. I'm drawing it with pen right now so that you can, so that it's visible. Yeah. So within the box, I've drawn a string, which is looking like a Z if I turn it like this. Yeah. What this has done is it has divided my box into different parts, right? There are 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah? Just give me a thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay. So unconsciously, what's happening is our unconscious mind is separating things, starting to compartmentalize when you do this step. Yeah. So now when the step 5 is tangling. So how do we start? You take one section and start doing any pattern, pick up any one of the basic strokes and start filling that portion. Now, step 5 is with pen. Now, as you start tangling, I also want you to remember what are your thoughts. You know, it will tell you about how you think, how your limiting beliefs, if they will come up. Like a lot of the times I have noticed that when I start tangling, my first thought is I want every stroke to be perfect. You relate to this, right? And then I start doing third or a fourth stroke and I made a mistake. It's like I knew it, this is going to happen. And then I find my body relaxing when I say it's okay, you can handle it. And one of the core principle of Zentangle is there are no mistakes, only possibilities. Okay, so I immediately see when you make that first mistake, and when you tell yourself that, you know what, see, I told you, be careful. I want you to be perfect, but you messed it up and all that is going on. And then you say, it's okay, just keep going, just keep going. And you feel your body just relaxing, right? And in that, you realize, oh, now I can do this also. Now I can do that also. And something that I noticed that when I'm trying to be too connected, too attached to the outcome, the way I hold the pen, how hard I press the pen, is very different from when I'm like just allowing myself to flow with the tangles. So it's a journey. And then you'll see yourself that, okay, when you relax, you suddenly see that you're not pressing, your hands are not hurting, your fingers are not hurting, and your strokes are looking much more like a flow, and it's not looking like those robotic kind of strokes. You find yourself then going with the flow and finding your thoughts suddenly completely slowing down. Okay, so tangle is the process where you learn a lot about yourself. Now, the sixth step is shading. Okay, so shading is, again, you just take any pencil and you when you rub the pencil along the edges, and then maybe you can use your finger to spread that little bit just to give little dimension to it. Finally, you own that piece, you initial it. And the eighth step is, look at that and reflect on it, that how was your journey? What happened when you started? How does that entire artwork relate to, maybe if you had picked up an issue which you wanted to work on, how does this artwork relate to that? Okay, so these are the 8 steps. And we have, how much time do we have, Sakshi? We can then do like say 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes, we can do 5 to 7 minutes. Also, Seema, I would request you once if you could stop the screen share, I would pin you. And again, if you could show the Z part on the paper, it would be more clear.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yeah. So this is not a Z, but it's still incomplete. it'll give you an idea of how this works. Can you see? It's an X.
Yes.
It's in 4 parts, and every part is filled with a different. So you could actually maybe use your name as your alphabet, first alphabet, to create the string and divide that square into different sections. You could do that as well. Or you could just draw random 2-3 lines. The idea is to, you know, help our unconscious mind to compartmentalize and organize all the information that it's been taking in into different sections. Okay. So before we begin, just maybe, stand up, stretch, loosen, because we've been taking in a lot of information. Yeah. Yeah. Just. From a stuck mode. Yes. Thank you. And let's begin. Now we don't need the presentation. If you have a paper and a pen, and if you have a pencil, use the pencil to do the second, third, and the fourth step. Okay. So whenever you're ready, first, when you're holding the paper, just look at the paper, feel the paper, and set an intention. It could be something as simple as, I just want to, go with the flow, or I will allow my creative part of my mind to step in and take over. Or the intention could just be that, okay, I just want to have fun. And since we are at it, I just thought of this, that one of the way to remember the 5 basic strokes is by the word ICSO, ICSO. So I is the line and the dot, C is the curved line, S is the S-shaped line, and O is the circle, right? So those are the 5 basic strokes. So whenever you're ready, I'd like you to pick your pencil and put 4 corner dots. And then gently and very lightly connect the 4 dots. Allow it to flow. It could be squiggly lines. It could be just a rough stroke. Just let the pencil flow. And now within those borders, whatever the intention is, let that intention create a shape within this. If you like, you could just simply start with any of the alphabets that connect with you, or it could just be some random lines or swirls or scrolls. Now, as you look at that sheet, or we call it the tile. Allow your eyes to take you to one section of that tile. Just pick one section of that tile and let your unconscious mind guide you to pick any one of the basic strokes. And start tangling. Just have fun with it. One stroke at a time. Sometimes we try to make it too small or too big. Just, it's almost like making it bite size, which is easy to repeat. And you can turn your tile to make it comfortable. And maybe you feel like going over the pencil border, and that's perfectly fine. Gently, one stroke at a time. If you finish a section, feel free to move to the next one. You might have questions wondering how one pattern will, fit into the other. Don't worry about it. Just let your unconscious do the patterns. There are no rules. If you're wondering which basic stroke to start with, doesn't matter. Just pick any one which comes to your mind. Mindfully, one stroke at a time. Being present with that one stroke. Okay. We'll stop in 30 seconds. Okay, keeping the time in mind, I want you all to come back. Yeah. Is everyone back? Give me a thumbs up. I know this was really short, but I wanted to give the whole understanding, and I invite you to practice this, maybe continue after this session, complete this style, give yourself that extra 5-10 minutes before you get up from this seat and complete that tile. Is there anything that you picked, or any insight that you had while doing it? Any realization? Yes, Anu?
So when I was doing it, when I started some of the strokes, the thought was like, it doesn't look anything like what she showed.
Right. Yeah,
So
we tend to compare ourselves. Yes.
yeah.
And then?
And then I said, okay, never mind, just go ahead. It's okay. It's a mess, but it's okay.
Yeah, right. Wonderful. Yes, absolutely. We compare ourselves, and this is what I would do. But believe me, once you complete this style, it will have a different essence. It won't look like mine, but it will look like yours. It will look like who you are. And that's the best part about this. And you will relate to every stroke, and you'll be like, oh my God, when I started, I didn't know this was going to look like this. And actually, every time I start the tile, I feel like, oh, I wanted to do this, but mine doesn't look like this. But at the end of it, I'm like, oh, this looks good. And I love what I have done, is what I end up with. So there are times that for inspiration, I do look at, other people's styles, and, I start off with that. And then I feel that, oh, this is not me. I want to do something else. My hands will not move. Yes, Sakshi.
So when I started with the curlings also, so in between, I started doing another pattern in between. So as you said, there are no mistakes, there are possibilities. So I was thinking in those lines, is there a possibility when where I can add something in this pattern rather than leaving it like that? It may be right, it may be wrong, but I was just trying to, do it. Also, the moment the thought was shifting, or the focus is shifting from there, suddenly the pattern would change. Or so that's what, when we say the focus, the moment the focus shifted, the pattern shifted, it changed.
Right, right. Yeah. And those moments when you move from one pattern to another, it's so difficult to explain in words that there is so much happening in our unconscious. There is a big connection being made. Some way we are making a connection of two things which logically doesn't see that they connect, but somehow, it's that gap where a lot of work happens.
Anyone has anything to share? We are open to listen.
Yes, and any questions also?
Any questions, any doubts, any experience that they would like to share? Okay, we have Shweta
Sakshi,
Kapoor speaking.
yeah,
Yes,
may I
Shweta.
come in? Thank you. Ma'am, I just have one question related to something I observed. Thank you for the practice, first of all. The
Yes,
other
sure.
thing is, how do you connect NLP with Zentangle? I mean, I'm curious to understand that connection.
So you know the presuppose you're aware of NLP? You know what NLP is all about?
Yes, I've done
Okay.
trainings on NLP, and
Right.
I was, so yeah, therefore,
Yeah. So
yeah.
the presupposition that our bodies and minds are part of the same system. So a lot of times when clients come to me with certain issues and they don't want to share it directly, or they don't really know what's happening. They talk about all the different things, but the problem, that's when I take them through this entangle where it shows up. They don't have to then talk to me about the issue. They start putting, I said, okay, whatever it is, whatever you are struggling with, let's draw. And after about 15-20 minutes of tangling, when I look at their pattern, I ask them, okay, when you look at this pattern, what comes to your mind? So the reflection that we work on, it's all connected, whether it's art, whether it's NLP, whether it's sound healing, everything is connected. The second presupposition is our inner world creates our outer world.
Absolutely.
I hope
That's
I've
beautiful
answered your
because,
question.
yeah, when we work with children, many times that's how art-based interventions work out, right? They cannot express, but they can draw or they can recall, or whatever they will recall, that's also information.
Right.
So therefore, I was curious, how do you use this as a data tool, or, the option to people who can draw or maybe have no words but can illustrate something? Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Because a lot of time we can get lost in the words trying to, make sense of it. So when you're talking to the clients, we are constantly still working at a conscious level. How do you get into that?
Yes. Deep dive. Beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome, Shweta.
Yes, anyone else? Okay, so with this, we come to the concluding part of the day, which is always very painful to leave something which is very informative, which is very new. And yes, we have to continue later again. So thank you so much, Seema, for this beautiful insight and definitely helping ourselves, learning new techniques of how we can work on our own brains and conscious mind, along with how Shweta said it could help her to, help her students out. So amazing. Thank you, Seema. Thank you so much for hosting this session today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. We'll see you all tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.